Hello and welcome to another episode of Build Back Better with me, Dawn Lyle from For the Region. Today we are on location in the new Oriel Science Gallery in Swansea. Those of you that know the old Happy Home Furnishers building and a key landmark location in Swansea city centre, it has been transformed into a fantastic new venue, and we're going to be hearing all about that today. So I'm delighted to be speaking to Chris Allton, who is the director of the new Oriel Science Gallery. Welcome, Chris.
Hi, Dawn. Great to be here.
So I'm really excited to talk to you today, but I'm even more excited that we're on location and you're going to be able to give us a look around the inside of this fantastic new venue. But tell us a little bit about Oriel Science. What's your background and how have you come to be running such an exciting project?
Yeah, so Oriel Science is it's a Swansea University public engagement project. So our idea is to package up my colleague in Swansea University's amazing research. There's so many different research projects going on, many of which are not fully understood by people in the local community, and to package that amazing research up into exciting and interactive and kind of visceral, somewhat arty exhibits even, and then to put them in a place where people go so they can play around with it, understand what the university does. Because the university, for all its benefits, can feel a little bit remote from everyday life and remote from the community. So if you like, Oriel Science, our venue here is our footprint, our shop front to show off what we do in the community. We started about 4 or 5 years ago. We had, some of you may know, we had a pop-up venue around the corner from where I am now in Princess Way. So that's in the old David Evans shop beneath the gym. Up from McDonald's, depending upon my audience, I either mention McDonald's or the gym or David Evans. So take your pick. And that was great. It was open for about over about a 6-month period, about 100 days in that period. We had 16,000 people through, and that worked very well. And ever since then, we've been trying to get back into the city centre. And finally, we opened last weekend to the public, which was fantastic. We're delayed because of the COVID regulations, but it's great to be open finally. So it's been brilliant.
Yeah, so as you say, sometimes the university can seem a bit like an ivory tower, fantastic stuff happening behind closed doors. So the purpose of this project is to make all that research visible, engaging and accessible. Is it specifically aimed at young people or is it for all ages, members of the public?
So it's very much for all ages. And when we first came up with the idea, we were asked by kind of professionals, people who knew what they were doing. They said, Chris, you know, are you going to do it? What age range are you going to target? You know, is it going to be for primary or high school? And we said, no, everyone. And they looked at us as if that was impossible. But I think we've succeeded in being attractive to everyone. So we've got 30 exhibits here, and either each exhibit, you know, perhaps best attracts people from a certain age range, or even within each exhibit, there's different aspects of it which link in or fire the imagination or the interest of different ages. So from primary school up. So, you know, for kind of, you know, 2-year-old and less, for babes and arms, no, we don't do much. But apart from that, every age range. And the footfall in the pop-up kind of prove that. Because what we really feel strongly is that we want to encourage people who perhaps don't see their future as a university student or doing A-levels or whatever, encourage people from communities who traditionally don't send their children to university, that university is for everyone, it's certainly for them. And that's really one of our main aims. Obviously that's for younger people, but also for older people my age and older or younger. I think it's very important that people understand research, understand science in its most broadest sense, understand crucially kind of evidence-based decision-making, which we don't always see in politics, and understand how science proceeds and understand the benefits that research can give our everyday life. Because I think we're a better informed society, we're a stronger democracy if people can make better informed decisions. And that's what we're trying to get across to the older visitors as well.
Fantastic. So Half term is coming up. Hopefully we'll put this episode out on our channel in time for half term. You're open during half term week for visitors. Are you able to give us a little tour? I saw you moving around your camera on a trolley.
Absolutely. I've got, it's some people think I've got a very small, short camera person, but no, it's a trolley.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you to give us a little tour. For those of you who are listening to this on our podcast platform, either Spotify or iTunes, at this moment, you might be wishing you were actually watching on YouTube, because we're going to see inside the Oriel Science venue. But I'm sure you'll talk us through it as well, Chris, as we go round.
That's right. So first of all, we're on the corner of Castle Street and College Street, so 21 Castle Street. So just up from the Castle Square. So between Castle Square and the train station, the old Happy Home Furnishing shop. So, and we're open on the weekends and during school half term, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So the Monday to Friday of half term, we're open as well. And there's an Eventbrite place you can go to get tickets, just to make sure you've got a place. And that will be shown together with a video. So the first thing you can see here, I'm actually going to pick up my laptop so you can see a beautiful display of bricks there, coloured in by the students of St. Joseph's Primary School, and they were doing a project on immigration. And we have human geographers working in Swansea University studying immigration. The immigrants that they were studying were Irish immigrants about 150 years ago to Green Hill. And then the students did a beautiful display of plaster cast display of their hands, all kind of linked together. And that was actually shown in the Tate Modern Gallery in London. As I said, there's 30 exhibits. I won't have a chance to show you them all, but this one here is really cool. That plastic box is like a maze. And so what was done is this was used, believe it or not, to study how long the memory of a crab was. Yes, I said that right, crab memory. So you put the crabs in one end, put food in the other end, and you train them up. And they got faster and faster. Then you took them away for 2 weeks. And then you found after you put them back in, they were nearly as fast and much faster than they were initially. So that means that crabs have a memory of at least 2 weeks. Who would have thought? Okay.
Who would have thought?
That's right. And this is a fab, very hands-on interactive exhibit. You get on the push bike here, is an image of a push bike with a generator in the back. You generate electricity. And in this contraption here, it breaks up water into its constituents, hydrogen and oxygen. And that shows how energy can be used hydrogen can be used to store energy. You can burn the hydrogen, and then you can actually also put that hydrogen which you've made back together with oxygen in one of these cars. This is a River Simple hydrogen fuel cell car. So this is a Welsh company, and they have basically a canister cylinder of hydrogen gas in the back, and they mix it with oxygen in a fuel cell to create electricity. So the reverse of the hydrogen bike, where you create electricity to break up water to create hydrogen. This combines hydrogen and oxygen to make water and electricity. So the only exhaust from that is water, literally nothing else. And the guy who invented the hydrogen fuel cell was a guy called William Grove. And unbelievably, he lives in a house in a place that I can see just through the window there. I won't try and show you because it's behind some trees, but where the Swansea police station is, Swansea Central Police Station, is, I won't ask how many of you know that building very well, but so there's a blue plaque there commemorating William Grove. In the 1840s, he discovered the fuel cell. So his technology is used in that car and in all hydrogen fuel cell vehicles and other industrial plants around the world. So,
I mean, that's a great example, Chris, of what amazing heritage in engineering and invention and innovation that we have in our region. And I guess one of the things that Oriel Science can do is tell some of those stories and build that sense of pride around that heritage. And why can't we do more of that for the future?
Very much. I think, if I have to say that if William Grove perhaps had been from London, he would be much more famous. He was a contemporary of Michael Faraday, who's very well known and rightly so. But William Grove, as well as doing the fuel cell, was one of the first people to understand the law of conservation of energy, which is a crucial part of science. And he would be a lot better known, I think, if he had come from another part. And that's a crying shame. And that's one of the things Oriel Science is trying to do, to show that amazing things are being done by people from Swansea. You'll hear my accent, I'm not from here, but I've lived here 25 years, but that's part of the thing. And for young people coming in here, we make a big song and dance about the fact the guy who lived there, you know, just like you live around here, he did amazing things, and perhaps one day you can do amazing things as well. And you know, that's the result of his labors. Amazing carbon fiber hydrogen fuel cell car.
Amazing.
So then this is another research exhibit showing what's called granular flow. So what we've got here is a disc, hollow disc containing two different sorts of sand, just ordinary sand you get for putting in a fish tank. They're different colors, and the flow of the sand kind of goes in stages, like a cascade of one color then another color. So that the way the sand fits together interlocks, it flows smoothly and then not so smoothly. And that means that the different colors of sand form bands. And so if you wanted to mix the sand together into one consistent mixture, the way it's set up now is a poor way of doing that because the mixing doesn't work very well. And that's not just so much important for sand, but it's important for industrial processes. If you're mixing food or cement or other plastics, you want to make sure that a good mixing happens. And then this is geography. This is all about an iceberg called the A68, which broke off Antarctica about 3-ish years ago, and that made world news. It was the biggest ice shelf floating iceberg in the world. And here you can see a map of Antarctica. So it broke off from here and went into the ocean, and then it ended up getting jammed near South Georgia, near the Falkland Islands. And it's recently turned into like a slush puppy. It's finally melted some years later. And here, sort of nicely backlit from Castle Street, is, well, we lovingly refer to this as a load of rubbish because that's what it is. It's plastic bottles and cans, and this huge thing in the shape of a wave, taller than I am, signifies how much recyclable material is thrown away by the UK into landfill every 20 seconds. So that's just bonkers.
That is shocking, isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely. And so we've got two exhibition themes here. One is the outside one, which we've been in so far, is movement and motion. And we'll come back to that in a second. But in the inside part of the venue here, we've got the theme called the university's response to COVID. So needless to say, being a university with a medical school and biomedical engineering and so on, there was a big response from Swansea University to help us combat COVID. And these two things here you can see, which are very kind of cool 60s sci-fi like contraptions. These are actually ventilators. So the one on the left was the first one made by Dr. John Dingley and Dr. David Williams, and they work in Swansea University and in the NHS. They're consultant anaesthetists. They designed this, and with help from engineering, they built that in 10 days. So if you remember, just over a year ago, there was a concern that there wouldn't be enough ventilators, and they answered that call by designing and building one with ordinary, readily accessible material. So that was ready to use if we ever needed it, which fortunately the NHS didn't. And then here is a 3D print of a lung, and the dark red things there, which hopefully you can see, is the COVID infections. That's a 3D reconstruction of a real patient's lung. And this was a fantastic project where students in Swansea University got together with different specialties, combining understanding of how to convert a medical image into a rendered thing like that. Then it was passed on to people studying aeronautical engineering and airflow to understand how best to adjust the parameters of a ventilator to get the best airflow into the individual lung. So then the clinician would know which knobs to twiddle on a ventilator like that to get the maximum amount of air in without damaging the lung. So anyway, so fascinating stuff. And so basically that would be individualizing your treatment. And here, this beautiful collection of 9 paintings. And these were done by an artist working with a psychologist. The psychologist spoke to key workers working in hospitals and so on during the first lockdown. And they offered often found they had very vivid dreams, and the dreams were basically, or an interpretation of the dreams were painted, and the description of the dreams beneath. And some of them very, very, very moving, not surprisingly, because they saw all sorts of horrific things. And the paintings were done actually on pages taken from Sigmund Freud's book, apparently in psychology circles, a famous book called The Interpretation of Dreams. And so it all kind of hangs together very nicely.
So it's a real kind of art meets science experience then at Oriel Science. Talk about that. It's
Very much.
both, isn't it?
So yeah, so our idea is to kind of to convey what research is all about, but in an artistic way. So we're kind of like not an art gallery containing kind of objects of art, but like a gallery showcasing science things. So we don't have objects of art, but kind of objects of research. And we do that because the way I describe it is, you know, we could write up everything that you've seen on a bit of A4 bit of paper and just stand out on the footpath on the pavement and hand it out to people, right? And in some sense that would convey the same information. But a famous human rights activist in the US said that, you know, she understood that people forget what they see, they forget what she says, but they never forget how she makes them feel, basically. So if we can get people to have an emotional response, then they walk away remembering that, and they're changed, and that's exactly what we want to do. So we want to change people to think, oh, that's really interesting. That's amazing stuff being done in Swansea University, amazing stuff that I could do when I grow up, kind of thing, if you're young, and have an effect on people that is lasting. That's what we're after, yeah.
Yeah, a real sort of experiential venue. So
Yeah.
Fantastic for the city centre. Great timing, really, as the city centre starts to reopen, as we start to wonder what is the future for Swansea's high street and for retail, given everyone's switched to buying things online. This is kind of the thing we want to see, isn't it, in terms of more reasons for people to come into the city centre?
It is. My background, I'm a physicist, so what do I know about this? But it's clear to everyone that city centres are changing. So department stores, etc. We don't need to mention that's very much changing the city centre. So the reasons that people go into the city centre are altering. But I'm kind of firmly of the opinion that people are social animals and that they'll always need a place to kind of congregate. And you can't do that in an out of town shopping centre with a big car park. Okay, so a city centre, I think, can be a very important place for people to congregate. Yeah, so restaurants, coffee, cafe, bars, and various sorts of interesting shops, which are perhaps not chains that can bring people in, but also very much cultural experiences as well. And so hopefully that's what we are providing. We're providing a reason that people would come into the city centre to have an experience and to engage with our exhibits and enrich the city centre.
Yeah, and where you are there at the end of the high street, I mean, that is what we think of as the sort of creative quarter of the city, not far from the Glenvivian Art Gallery, of course, which has undergone a massive refurbishment, absolutely fantastic place to visit. And then there's places like the Volcano Theatre that has interesting stuff going on, quirky, independent bars and cafes, Cinema and Co, Copper Bar, it's all part of a mix that we're really hoping could form a new identity for the city centre.
Very much so. We deliberately chose this. We're so lucky to get this particular spot because it's got glass on two sides, and as you say, it's just down from the railway station, and you go past Elysium Gallery as well. So all the places you mentioned, very much kind of our ilk, quirky, interesting, unique kind of places, and we naturally fit into there. And as you come down from the train station past the places you mentioned, including ours, into kind of more traditional shopping areas, but we very much have our niche here for sure at the end of the high street, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, well, for our audience across South West Wales, we hope people will think this is just one more reason to come into Swansea on the weekends and see all the new things that Swansea has to offer. And of course, the new arena is under construction, so that will further build the kind of visitor offer that's not about retail, but it's about, as you say, social experiences, places to get together and culture, isn't it?
Yep, that's right, very much so.
Yeah, great. So tell me a little bit about the team that you've got together running the gallery. Are students involved? Is it staff from the university? Who else is part of your team?
Yes, so many people are involved. So it's great. In speaking kind of personally, it's been a wonderful experience to see so many people volunteer. We have 2 employees, so Tanya and Emily are our kind of bedrock. Without them, we wouldn't be here, that's for sure. So great thanks to Tanya and Emily. But also it's fantastic to see so many people who give up their time freely volunteering. So, you know, colleagues in the university, be they in admin or professional services or researchers themselves, and they see what the project is all about and they work in their spare time to help us out doing this, which is wonderful to see. And also we do employ staff as well. Often there's their students, Swansea University students, and they basically staff the venue during the weekends and then school holidays when we're open. And the great thing about them is that, Dawn, well, they're so much younger than I am and much closer in age to the young people that we're particularly keen in influencing and getting them to see that a future perhaps in further on education, perhaps in Swansea University or somewhere else, another institution, is for them, because these younger people, they're always incredibly enthusiastic and they're closer in age and they're like a big sibling, and they always get lots of praise. So we do employ our kind of so-called student ambassadors as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that part of the work that Oriel Science has done over the past few years, when you haven't had a venue, has involved going into schools with your student ambassadors, as you say, inspiring young people, really showcasing the kind of range of different careers that are available in what we call kind of the STEM subjects: science, technology, engineering, maths. And it is such a huge growing sector and huge opportunities for young people across our region. And of course, with such a huge university located here, I suppose that's part of it, isn't it? Promoting the university as an option for young people across South West Wales.
That's right. So employers, I mean, there's companies along the M4 corridor that are crying out for trained technicians, trained scientists, trained engineers. We know we have links with kind of the silicon chip manufacturing industries, and there are large numbers of jobs going in there. You know, the future very much is, in terms of the workforce, is very much pointing towards a more skilled workforce. We'll need a whole plethora of different job skills for sure, but we certainly need more and more skilled people as well. And university is one way of obtaining those skills and getting jobs, which, yes, they're probably going to be higher paid, but I think in a way, more importantly, they're going to be more exciting, more interesting jobs as well. So it's sort of job that when the alarm clock goes off at 7 o'clock on a Monday morning, you look forward to going to, mostly.
Yeah, that's right. Those really rewarding and exciting careers that we want people to have access to. Yeah, I think it's just fantastic to see the university so outward looking with this project. And I think I've already said it, but I think sometimes the university can be very inward looking. You know, there's lots of amazing stuff that goes on that people from outside are just not aware of and don't have access to. So this is a fantastic project to make all that visible, make it accessible, and really start that dialogue with the community. So I really applaud you guys for making this happen. And I know it's been a huge amount of perseverance to get to the point of having a real building, getting the support in place. And I guess you're engaging with businesses and employers as well. Is that part of the plan over the next few months and years?
We are very much. So over the last few years, in fact, we've reached out to businesses to partner with them, basically, because you know, businesses, medium-sized, large businesses especially, but even small businesses as well, they, in a kind of a way, they have a similar experience and remit and issues as the university does. So people know that they exist. They drive past the building's premises or whatever, factory, whatever it may be, but it's behind wire fencing, and people don't really know what's going on there. So having a footprint, a shop front showcasing what businesses do is a valuable thing, and we're linking up and partnering with businesses as we speak, and we very much hope to do that more through partnership and sponsorship deals, and that way they can have their own little footprint in Oriel Science that they can show what they do. Again, following the same similar kind of model to better link, to remove the barriers between what they're doing and the community. So we've also linked with the local NHS, so the Swansea Bay University Health Board. We're linking with them, and we hope to do a lot of work with them. You wouldn't think that the NHS has that same kind of issue, but so often people have issues going to see their GP if they have a concern or have almost like a phobia, and having a friendly, fun place like this where they can have chats with people who are medically trained also is going to be of benefit as well. So yeah, we're linking up with all sorts of different organisations in the local area.
Yeah, well, that'll be great to see all that collaboration as time goes by, and as we come out of, I hope, the COVID experience, and we can get really hands-on and get together in places like this much more, and very much aligned with our mission here For the Region, amplifying the good stuff, connecting all the great things that are happening, and telling those good news stories about what's happening in our region and what the opportunities are.
Yep, that's great.
Well, thank you for a little teaser there. I know we haven't got round the whole gallery, but I expect that's good, because that gives us all reason to come down ourselves. I'll certainly be hoping to bring the kids down this half term. Great to have another place in the city centre to come and explore. So thanks for introducing it to us all today. And for our listeners, I hope that's been interesting to you, and that you are similarly excited to come and explore Oriel Science in Swansea City Centre sometime soon. Have a look at the website, orielscience.co.uk, for the opening times, which I think is mainly weekends and half-term school holidays, and book via Eventbrite. The link will be in the comments. If you've enjoyed this episode of Build Back Better, talking to change makers across our region about all the fantastic things there are to be excited about in South West Wales, then please do subscribe to this channel, like this video, leave us a comment. We're really trying to get our viewer numbers up, so support us with that. We'd be so grateful. And please share this video across social media. Make sure everybody knows about Oriel Science, and we can promote this fantastic success story for Swansea City Centre. Thanks so much, Chris, for your time. Lovely to talk to you, and we'll keep in touch and look forward to seeing how you get on.
Pleasure, Dawn. Looking forward to welcoming you and the kids down soon. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much. Bye for now.